it shifts a little bit over time, but a significant number of people that are either arrested or in prison who are undocumented or illegal aliens who have committed serious to fairly serious crimes. So on the city side, one complaint that has existed for as long as I can remember is that the Immigration and Naturalization Service doesn't cooperate enough in helping us deport people who who become dangerous here in New York. On the other side of it, one of the consistent sources of complaint from the Immigration and Naturalization Service is that New York City is difficult to work with, that the areas of cooperation aren't as great as they should be. Now, you have to assume that everybody exaggerates in their own favor in a situation like this. So it's my intention to sit down with them and figure out how we can have a much better working relationship. Now, the next part of it, people who are illegal or undocumented aliens who need humanitarian help, health care help, who need to report crimes should feel no sense of fear in doing that. Those policies and rules, I haven't decided to change them. We have made no change in them. They have the same safety and security that they've had in the past.
Will the city workers required to ask?
I didn't say that.
Of the immigration status?
I didn't say that yesterday. I didn't suggest that yesterday, and that wasn't part of what I was saying. I said I was looking at all policies, and I said that there was nothing.
Specifically said you're looking at this policy.
Bob, what I said was that I was looking at this policy in the same way as I'm looking at all policies in the city, with an eye toward can they be improved, how can I get more help. I did not specifically focus on that particular area where people seek help from hospitals or people seek help from the police and want to report crime.
But it would be required to ask people in general their immigration status or not?
We did not focus on that yesterday, and there was no suggestion of that yesterday. But can I just say something so we communicate correctly, rather than having people react to things they don't have to react to. The story that was written was driven a number of steps beyond what I said, and sometimes that happens.
Mr. Mayor, the question yesterday when you was about, is there any situation you could see in which somebody who is sick should fear going to a hospital because that hospital may tell INS because of their immigration status? Is there any way that you could see changing that city policy that a hospital does not do that, a school does not?
Right. Go back to your tape recording, and that wasn't the question yesterday, Bob. That wasn't
specifically about people going to the hospital.
That wasn't the question yesterday. But in any event, whatever the question was, people do not have to fear going to hospitals and getting help in hospitals. The question was about drug enforcement. The question was about violent crime. The question was about the distinction that has to be made between people who violate the law and people who work hard or aren't violating the law. They have nothing to fear and nothing to worry about.
Mr. Mayor, did he have to be approved by your Jewish supporters to be considered as a Jew?
What? Who are we talking about?
Franco.
No one has to be approved by any group of supporters. When I try to get opinions from all different people, I weigh them all and come to a conclusion as to who I think would be the best person to run an agency and who I think would be the most effective person to run an agency and who I think can bring the most people together. So I get a wide range of views, and then I make a decision. Have I made a decision on the housing authority? No, I have not.
Mr. Mayor, there was a report today in the news that the homeless situation has become so dire as far as shelter space that some people had to be housed in a TB unit at Bellevue shelter. One of the city's operations, they had to share space with the TB patients. What are you doing now as far as that whole? Yeah,
if we're talking about the shelter at Bellevue, I was in Bellevue last week, and maybe it was before the conditions had gotten at their worst, and that was not the situation then. There's no question that the shelter system has been put to the maximum degree of usage because of the weather conditions. We had probably the coldest spell we've ever had, I think, in the history of the city. So they were operating at maximum capacity and maybe beyond. So I'll take a look and see whether that actually happened. But I mean, there's no question that they're operating under a lot of stress right now.
Is your administration, excuse me, is your administration considering a policy of adding more beds to the Armory in Brooklyn that had downsized last year?
That was a policy that they brought to my attention last Saturday morning. They thought they would have to do an expansion because of the weather conditions. They have done some slight expansions and used surge beds in some of the shelters, but I don't know if that's absolutely necessary. I had given them permission to go ahead with that if they needed to do it, and they had also arranged to get permission from the state to go ahead and do that expansion if it became necessary to do it. When I went to that shelter on Saturday night, it was not necessary. They were able to handle the population that they had without opening that additional space.
So you don't see that as a permanent addition to that shelter, just a temporary maneuver?
They had asked for permission on an emergency basis to be able to expand, given the temperature conditions on Friday and Saturday. But then on Saturday night, it wasn't necessary. They were able to handle the number of people they have without opening those beds.
Mr. Mayor, in a related question, have you been on the horn yet with the governor regarding his proposed bill to cut off state reimbursement for families who are temporarily being housed in hotels and motels beyond a 40-day period?
No, I have not had an opportunity to talk to him about that yet.
To have just a clear idea what this policy, this change of policy means.
Wait.
But let me
There's
ask
no
you a
change.
question first.
But the problem is, you're going to ask the question, and then when I give the answer, there is no change in policy.
I want to ask you this.
So we should start off with, there is no change in policy. Okay. So far, well, there may be all kinds of changes in policies, but you should write about them when there is a change in policy, not when I give the answer that any person should be giving about considering new ideas and new thoughts, which is, we'll take a look at it.
Then could you see maybe in the near future that you might have a change in this policy that will imply that the persons that have been convicted of a crime might be reported to the INS for deportation? That's basically the idea, only the persons convicted of a crime?
What I will be looking to do is to improve our ability to remove from New York City people who sell drugs, people who commit crimes, people who carry guns. I want to improve our ability to remove people like that from New York City, whether they're legal or illegal aliens. And if the INS can help with that, that's what we want. We want them to help with that. Insofar as people in this city who are in a undocumented status or some other form of illegal status, if they are people that are decent people not harming anyone, and what they're seeking is health care, or what they're seeking is help from the police because they've been the victims of a crime or because they want to assist the police, then there's been no change in policy. They have absolutely nothing to fear, and I don't foresee that would be an area in which there's going to be a change in policy. So that anyone who has been frightened by that, there's no need for them to be frightened. Now, people who are selling drugs and people who are carrying guns and people who are violating the rights of other people, then I would like them to be more frightened, and I would like them to think that there's a good chance the police are going to catch them, and if the police don't catch them, INS is, and deport them.
Mr. Mayor, what's your response and reaction to the Anthony Hollis release and questions of ID in the mosque incident?
I'm going to leave that really to the police to respond to. I wasn't in court. I don't know the arguments that were made. The police, I believe, have done a detailed briefing on that, and will continue to describe the efforts they're making to investigate that particular case.
Another topic.
Let me take two more so that I can get. I'm going to Brooklyn. I'm going to meet Howard Golden there. Okay. And then get that one and that one. Okay.
Yes, I'm going back to the immigrants and the question of the budget, and you're going to eliminate many of the programs of the past administration. What about the Office of Immigrants Affairs? Are you going to keep that one? Not. And if I read you, you're going to maintain the order that Koch issue, the executive order that people know, give information to the agency and employees to the INS.
Look at that order like I will all others. I supported that when the mayor did it. I was U.S. attorney at the time, and I supported his doing that. I understood the reason for it. And all during the time that I ran for office, both times that I ran, I made it very clear that where I thought increased enforcement should take place is in the area in which undocumented or illegal aliens are violating criminal laws. And that on the other side, what the city should be doing is having a humane and sensible policy so that people don't feel that they live in an underground society. If they need health care help, if they need police help, they should be encouraged to seek that.
So the Office of Immigrant Affairs.
Does it also perhaps make sense to look at relaxing the residency rules that do exist for other municipal employees, such as secretaries and clerks?
Say that, let's say police officers, teachers, firefighters had to live in New York City. And in order to accomplish that, you need to give something up because you're asking legislators as far as relaxing residency requirements. In other words, seeing if you can open up more jobs for people that have something, and maybe we have to give something, and vice versa.